You join us here for the visit of Michael to Capers on a glorious August day. Any meeting of people celebrating Bob's life, it inevitably involves meeting on the car park and what can best be described as faffing. And here we have faffing taken to a great level. Following major faffing, we did eventually arrive at the water's edge, where more faffing ensued, much giggling, and me prattling on about something. But finally, we did make our way to the water. Some carefully, some gingerly, some in all honesty, not at all. But you've always got to check out the viz, the visibility. Bob was a master for the viz. Continuing now to gather and faff, with no real rush to get into the water, which, after all, was the prime reason for going to Capers in the first place. God knows what Elaine is saying there, but she's made Carol giggle, and Sue can hardly contain herself. Michael wondering what he's got himself into. And then Bobby arrived with Helga and small child, which meant more faffing continued as people admired small child in pram. I think at this point I've asked if anybody wants to get wet, and as you can see, nobody's rushing to get into the water at all. Well, we were there to have a load of fun and a giggle. There's no rush when you go to Capers. Hey up, here we go. Are we finally making a move? Oh no, there's a dog. We might actually at this point be heading towards the water. And there is said dog. So that, of course, delayed us further getting into the water, but we do finally have some movement. There is motion towards the water. At this point, we'd been at Capers best part of an hour, and we're just getting into the water. Like I said, we don't rush. Michael looking every bit the athlete that he is and putting the rest of us to shame. Just look at that sleek, athletic body. Not you, Mark. Kathleen is stuck. It's the only way to describe it. Kath is stuck. She's wondering whether she's going to fall over or not. Look at the style of Kath getting into the water. Majestic. Carol just checking up on everybody there in her swimming teacher guise of making sure everybody's all right. Look at the graceful way Carol gets into the water. Elaine and Sue, there'll be some giggling Mark's Mark's up to his waist. Now, once we get up to waist, of course, I'm just going to go shoulders deep now, make sure, and stick my tongue out, as you do. Did you notice my new hat? Michael bought me a new hat. And that's a tree and a cloud above it. Now we're back to water. And at this point, there's more faffing because we need to make sure that everybody's had a wee before we set off. So I'll just be quiet while everybody has a wee. I think that's enough time for people to have had a wee. Carol's telling me off, I think. Look at that disapproving look on her face. And we might, in a minute, be setting off. Guy in new hat prattling on. God knows what I said. As you can see, much chatting, much faffing. Michael giving us a nice wave to everybody and all the folks back home. I think we're nicely acclimatised now. Sue looks like she's about to start swimming. Elaine still has faffing to do. Michael just wants to get started. And we're going to swim out. You can just see there in the background. We're going to swim out to Bob's boy and say hello to him and have a few moments with him before the plan is for some of us to continue on a full lap. Those who want to come back will come back because there's never any pressure at Capers. We do our own thing. So we'll set off in a minute, but there's no rushes, there's no panic. And we're off. Now look, Bob was an absolute master at holding the camera upright while he did one-armed front crawl. I can't. I can do one-armed breaststroke, which is what I'm doing here. Now Bob's boy went on a bit of a tour of Capers earlier this year. We always had him where we unveiled him in November, but then the wind got up earlier this year and Bob became detached and finished up in the far corner of Capers, where the lovely staff returned him initially to shore, and then they've put him back in. I'm delighted he's back in the water. No words necessary at that point, just letting Michael have his moment with Bob, which was one of the main reasons he came over to the UK from the United States. The initial plan was that he was going to swim the length of Windermere with Bob, but events took over, didn't they? But the boy is a lovely, permanent tribute to a man who gave us so much joy, and everybody there has such fond memories of our dear Bob. And the cloud shot was me just looking up to Bob. So this bit is all just saying hello to Bob. Before we're going to head over that way in a bit, but we're not going just yet. And the lovely Rachel managed to swim out to Bob's boy for the first time. It's something she's been determined to do since we put the boy there, and today she made it and managed it, and it was beautiful to see. Now we're going to carry on. We're going to head out to the far corner. I must apologise to Michael. I almost got him lost in Coniston the other day because I didn't know initially that he could only breathe to his right, and therefore if I was on his left he couldn't see me, so he couldn't sight, so he'd lose me. Anyway, we managed to fix that by the time we went into Windermere, and I did my best to stay on his right in Capers. So we managed to stay together. There were various points during the week where I cocked up, shall we say, nearly injured him, lost him. Anyway, we survived. So we're heading out now. We're looking for, over by that tree, Olivia's stone. Bob, in memory of a young swimmer, took a stone out into Capernwray and laid it. And Bob always knew where it was, and we can't find it now. But it's a good excuse to always head over to that corner and think about Bob and what he did for Olivia by laying a lovely stone. So it's always nice to go and try and find the stone as well. That remains a project in hand. Heaven knows we'll ever find it. But it's good fun trying. There's always smiles in abundance at Capers, and when we're thinking about Bob and thinking about the daftness he got up to, those smiles enhance. Michael there just looking up to Bob as he swims towards the rocks over there. Water temperature was 21 degrees. It was absolutely gorgeous, and you can see the sun. It's got blue sky, a little bit of cloud, but it was gorgeous and warm. Now there is an apple tree about where we're going to be here in a minute. Nobody knows whether those apples were actually edible. And now we have Sue. Sue is about to approach the forbidden fruit in an act of what can only be described as theft. Pushes herself up to get closer. And with all the dexterity of a hippo doing a triathlon, she removes the brambles from the bush. And now she's stuck. She's clinging on to dear life to those brambles. She may have lost half of them while she was scratting about there, but she does have some brambles, and now she's counting to see, is there enough for everyone? I can tell you there's probably enough seeds for everyone, but not enough brambles for everyone. Blackberries, if you want to be posh. Anyway, we have got some blackberries, and I'm about to take the first one. Michael gets the next one. Sue is showing them to Kathleen before she eats one herself. And Mark didn't get any. So Mark, look at the disgust on his face. Mark says, sod ya, I'm going to go and get my own. And that's what he got. Just one. Now, I didn't think this was fair, that some people missed out. So at this point, I hand over to my production assistant, Kath, who seemed content and insistent on basically filming my backside. I can promise you there isn't a zoom on that, or she probably would have used the zoom to focus on my backside. She could have done a side-on angle so she could see me picking the blackberries, but no, she's just focused pure and simply on my ass. Anyway, I've managed to grab a handful of blackberries, and now I'm looking across the water and most of them have disappeared. They're over there, swum off. So, Michael, have a blackberry. Nobody else wants them. Sue's gonna have one. Michael's gonna have one. And I'm left with a handful. So, I've enjoyed them very much. The rest of it, we did actually continue swimming, and then we went for some cake and chips and had a right good natter. Thanks for coming, Michael.